Normally I'm the person who is calling for something to be made. Hey, this would be a nice idea to explore more of. But this is one where I really think they should just preemptively pull the plug. Over a year ago, possibly even longer back, it was announced that we were going to get a spin-off slash prequel series focusing on Arthur Mitchell, the Trinity killer, the main antagonist of the fourth season of Dexter. And when I first heard this, I thought it was weird. We haven't really heard that much since it was announced, which means they might have already just pulled the plug on it. But a lot of us were upset when Original Sin first was renewed back in, I think it was April, and then they canceled it some weeks back. And, Trinity is probably, I would say is my favorite Dexter villain. I think he's the best one, and the only one that comes anywhere close is Brian, for reasons that other people have gotten into. So you would say, why would someone who really likes a villain want to see less of them? And it just comes down to, I don't think an antagonist as the lead character of a show can work that well. So like with Dexter, the reason that the series works, just on a conceptual level, is that, sure, he's a serial killer, he enjoys murdering people, whatever, but he specifically has a certain type of person, the worst of the worst, that he takes out, which makes him likable, even if we cannot empathize with slicing people up into, 9 pieces and getting rid of their body. With Trinity, they described this series as taking place during his formative years. What new revelations are we going to get that's going to enhance the character from the original show? We know that, his sister died, mother died, killed his dad. Like, what are they going to do with that that would in any way warrant an expansion? I could make a separate video about it, but one of the reasons I was disappointed to see Original Sin go is that, for as much as I really didn't think a Dexter prequel was necessary, because again, it's that same thing, if we saw flashbacks, we have a pretty good sense of why this character became the way that he is. At least when Original Sin was canceled, I said, hey, I want to see more of, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, and, maybe have Doak show up, right? These different plot threads and things that could tie this show more to the original one. But with Trinity, his basic thing is that he murdered a whole bunch of people, always killed in these patterns of 4. And you got to ask yourself, because like with the way Dexter kills, with the different serial killers and murderers, sometimes we have him focus on a specific one for a whole season, like the ice truck killer or Trinity. Sometimes he's the one on the run with no like direct killer to go against him, like with season 2. With Trinity, because he always kills in that pattern of 4, what could you do to make that not feel generic and formulaic and the same thing happening over and over again? On a surface level, I could say that they might be able to explore, what led to Trinity and Christine's mother no longer being together, and then maybe like showing him having the dual life of being a killer and having a family. But again, that was something that was explored in the original show during season 4. And the reason it wouldn't work as well as season 4 did is because Trinity is not inherently a likable character, but also because we know that due to it being a prequel, whatever suspense they try to build of, oh my God, he might, Sally, his wife, might find out that he's a killer, or his son or daughters might find out he's a killer. Like, we know before the show even starts that won't happen. The only way you could have sold me on more content with Trinity was if they went through with the writer's original plans to have him, survive the season 4 finale, or if they got John Lithgow to do some prequel movie where it's like a whole bunch of events just condensed into a 2-hour film, back in like 2010, 11, 12, like while the show was airing, where he still looked pretty much the same as he did in 2009. But at this point, it's just, I don't see any potential in it. The only Dexter killer that could probably be a good focus for a prequel would be Brian, and that's because he's a lot less linear, both in terms of his kills and location, than Trinity is. So again, Trinity has the pattern of the 4 kills, that cycle. And Brian is someone who could kill just for the hell of it, could kill to assume someone's identity like he does with Rudy Cooper. And Brian is also not someone who's tied to a specific location, so you could have theoretically each season or every 2 seasons him, moving around to different states and, just different scenery and different characters, which I think would give a show focused on him a lot more, both viability in the short and long term, where like I could really see a show that goes for 10 years of just Brian traveling all over America trying to figure out if he's going to be this person or have this job or take this. That's something that you just can't get with Trinity. As much as I like Trinity, I just can't see him as the lead character of a whole damn show, especially if you're going to get somebody else that's not John Lithgow. I know they wanted him to do the narration, but you get the idea that there are limitations imposed by the kill cycle, Trinity's consistent location in Florida. And these are things that, of course, when they were writing season 4 of Dexter, they had no way of knowing it would handicap them if they wanted to do a spinoff over 10 years later. But here we are.